Yes, you're still watching TVC Breakfast. We now take you all the way to Abuja, where we'll link up with Tijesu Adeoye. Good morning, Tijesu. How you doing? In Akwana, over to you.
Good morning, Ria, and a beautiful morning from the FCT. Happy New Year, I must say, and I wish everyone well in this new year. Well, let's begin in earnest. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to FCT Brief. This morning, our focus is on a subject touching every household and business across Nigeria, the new tax regime. As government pushes for improved revenue generation and economic stability, many Nigerians are asking critical questions about how these changes affect their daily realities. From rising cost of living to the promise of better public service, the new tax framework comes with both expectations and concerns. Supporters argue it could strengthen national development and fiscal discipline, while critics worry about its timing, implementation, and impact on already stretched incomes. On today's edition of FCT Brief, we take a look at the real cost and the potential benefits, separating policy intention from lived experiences. And to help us make sense of the numbers, the implication, and what Nigerians should realistically expect, we are being joined by a finance expert, Bolahan Olojede. He will be offering insight into how the new tax regime works, who it affects the most, and what it means for individual businesses and the broader economy. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Olojede.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome and Happy New Year to you. Now, let's begin our conversation. The new tax law was sold to us as a reform that will better the lives of Nigerians, but this has generated quite a number of controversies and has raised a lot of trust issues among Nigerians. What I would like to ask you, why do you think that there is so much disbelief among, the taxpayers and government in general? And what will make it different this time around?
Well, I think it's a general distrust between the people and the government. There's this unwritten contract about taxation. And what it essentially says is, I will give you my taxes. You will use it to better my life, to improve my standard of living. So that unwritten contract will always be called to question, in which people will say, from the taxes I've paid in the past, can I really say I have enjoyed the benefit as much as I would have loved to? People will also question certain expenses of the government, which they believe represent some sort of wastage, and that will continue to breed issues of distrust between the government and the governor or the taxpayer, as the case may be. That sets the background for the distrust that we are seeing as far as tax is concerned. And because it is taxation, the first thing that comes to the mind of the payer is to say, look, I might be coughing out more money. So nobody wants to cough out more money, and that is not a Nigerian affair. It is global, it is natural, it is human that nobody, anywhere, want to pay more taxes. That is a reality. So those elements are also there. The other problem I see is the participation of Nigerians in the course of, putting the law together. There are sessions where NGOs, civil society organizations, trade unions, everybody was meant to participate. There were open sessions. And today, some of the trade organizations that are coming up and saying, this thing will affect me badly. The first one that comes to my mind is, where was the paper you presented when this bill was at the discussion stage? When the National Assembly was receiving memoranda, was receiving input from people who will be concerned, from the civil society, from everybody that is meant to be a stakeholder in this. Where were you? Where is the copy of what you presented at any of those sessions? So a lot of people did not participate, and then the law has now been passed, and then you suddenly woke up and realized that, this may affect me in this way or the other way, which I have not anticipated. The funny thing about this law is that at a point in time, when it was initially presented for approval, the National Assembly threw it off because governors, especially from the north, opposed how some of the prescriptions of that law will affect their own states. They think, oh, my state revenue is going to reduce if this law is passed as it is. So they repudiated it. And it has to go back to the committee or the task force, as the case may be, to rework it, negotiate all those issues, and come back with an agreed position. That should have been a second opportunity for other people to say, oh, I'm an influencer, so we have a group of influencers. This is how this law will affect us. This is an opportunity for us also to present our case before the committee. Oh, we are capital market operators, or we are bankers, or whatever trade organizations that may be, should have taken that window of time to say, oh, now that some people are complaining about this part of the law, let us also go to the National Assembly or to the committee and make a case. But we waited. The law got passed. As a matter of fact, this law has been gazetted since June. Then somebody woke up in December and said, oh, it wasn't what was gazetted that was passed. Why didn't you check that in July or September or October or November? Why did you wait 6 months after it has been gazetted to raise the issue? I mean, the issue of gazetting is a different ballgame entirely. I am of the conviction that if somebody has done something wrong, we must get to who did what wrong and ensure people are punished for wrongdoing, and that whatever has been wrongly done should be corrected. I'm all for that.
Mr. Oloye, there's another critical issue here, and that is the issue of fairness. Who bears the most burden concerning this tax, new tax reform that we have as it stands? Is the burden more on workers or small businesses? Who bears the heaviest burden in this regard?
The people who earn the most will bear the heaviest burden. When you take any of the tables, when you take the table for personal income tax, for example, you can see how the rates have been graduated from 15% all the way to 23, 24%. So the more you earn, the more you will pay. It is meant to reduce the burden on the lower rung of the ladder and expect the people to whom the country has bestowed more to also provide more. That is essentially the fulcrum of the new tax law. And you can see that by the zero VAT issue, where some items that are believed to be, this is what the poor, the bottom rung of the ladder, spend most of their money on. Therefore, let's make it zero VAT so that will not add to the burden of taxation that this segment of the society will have to pay. It is also what drove the issue of anybody with a taxable income of 800,000 and below should not even bother to pay any taxes. It is the same thing that drove the issue of small and medium scale enterprises. If your profit is not more than this, if your revenue is not more than this amount, don't even register. All those, for certain taxes, all those things are measures that are meant to protect people at that end. So the focus is to protect the more vulnerable people and let the people with the fat income carry a fair share of the burden of taxation.
Mr. Oloyede, if you critically look at it, because you mentioned about people earning 800,000 and below being exempted from the tax regime, would that be measured by per year or per month? Because if you realistically look at it, no worker earns below 800,000 per year. So is that going to be measured per year or per month?
800,000 is per year, and that is taxable income, not gross income, which is another understanding that has to be put in that place. The 800,000, in arriving at the taxable income, you start from gross income, you remove all the removables. Oh, you are not supposed to be taxed for your contribution to pension. Yeah, there is a relief called rent relief, which is 500,000. You remove all those removables, then you arrive at a bare bone that says, okay, if you still have this much, this is the taxable income, and it is on this taxable income that the amount will be, that the tax rate will be applied, not the gross income of the person.
All right, if you look at it critically, over half of Nigeria's economy operate informally. Not everybody is in the corporate workspace. Now, how do these tax reforms realistically capture the sector without choking small businesses?
Yeah, because there are records, all sort of records there and there. If you're doing a business, it is believed that you should have some elements of records. If you don't have enough records, maybe part of your record will reflect in your bank statement. So there's going to be a bit of challenge, especially at the beginning, determining what is the income level of the unstructured part of the system, but over time, things will get more defined or better defined. So if the tax people comes to you and say, oh, you made a profit of 100 million, come and pay taxes on that 100 million. It is your duty to say, I did not make 100 million. These are my books. And you show that and you establish yourself, then you reach an agreement and the pay is based strictly on what has been established as your profit. The essence of taxation is not to kill the source of the tax, because if you kill the business that is meant to pay you the tax, then there will be nothing to collect next year. As simple as that. So taxation also knows that, and it doesn't go out to kill the business that will pay the tax, because that will be counterproductive. However, one thing we must do necessarily is to ensure that as we go along the implementation, we also do measurement to be sure that the results that the that the government envisages, is what it is getting. Where there are needs for certain realignment, that we can realign and ensure that the objectives and goals will be achieved as it were.
All right, Mr. Oloyede, you agree with me that there has been quite some misconceptions. Some people are now saying some transactions should be tagged so that, government truly understands how, they tax their income. And also, how this tax will be deducted. Will it be directly from their bank accounts, or it has to be, tendered formally at, the FIRS or something? Help us understand what is myth and what is fact.
Nobody is going to just go into anybody's account and take money. That will not happen. That will be illegal, as a matter of fact. What you're going to have is, and what has happened with taxation in the past, is that you'll be given an assessment. So the taxpayer will be given an assessment, something that says your income is 100,000, your tax is 10,000. This is it, and you'll be sent to you in an email, physically delivered to you, or in whatever channels that you can be reached at. So there will be an assessment. It is based on that assessment, which you can contest if it is something that you disagree with. It's not a final thing. So you contest it with your facts and figures and say, no, that is not my income. This is my income. These are the supporting documents. And when there is a final position, then you go ahead and make your payment. So I don't think anybody is going to, it will be illegal. And the law has not made provision for for tax authorities to just go into your account and say, oh, this guy is, the taxation should be 10 naira, therefore they will be 10 naira. No, that would be criminal.
How about tagging transaction? Is it necessary?
It is good to describe transactions appropriately. If somebody has given you a voluntary, what I call a voluntary gift, I'm giving you this much, let it be properly described. Now, why is that important? It is important because when people know that, oh, gifts ordinarily are not taxable, and even if I want to pay you for services, I can describe it as gift because I don't want it to be taxed. So the payment for the service you have provided for me, I will just take it and give it and say it is a gift. So there will also be issue of assessing some of those issues that have been, things have been described as gift. A company, for example, could gift an employee something. So would that not be different from a gift given by a son to his mother at Christmas? Those are different kind of gifts. When the employer is giving you gift, it's because you have rendered a service, you have done certain performance. Of course, for the following year, if you are not his employee, he's not likely to send you that gift. So those are two different kind of gifts. But what is important is, please, let's have, number one, let's keep records. And number two, let there be proper description of payment that could be misconstrued as income. If it is money that was borrowed and it is being repaid, let it be captured properly as a repayment. If it is a refund, let it be captured as a refund. If it's a gift, Christmas gift for my mom, let it be properly captured as well. That is important under the tax law.
Well, it's still quite early to measure or assess implementation of these new tax laws. But when people hear taxes, they expect that it translates to better life, improved healthcare, better standards of living in the economy. How would you say Nigerians should measure, improvement in their daily lives?
Well, I think the payment of taxation itself is meant to induce us to want to demand more accountability. When it pinches you, you will want to know how it is spent. It is different from when the money is taken from under the ground, as in petroleum or something, and sold, and then you share it, and everybody is happy. So the way is from what we see in our environment. So Nigerians have complained that, look, I'm providing my own security, doing my own roads in the estate and all of that. Even electricity is by my generator. I buy the diesel and pay for it by myself. So we expect to see an improvement of the standard of living in the environment in terms of infrastructure, in terms of basic necessity, in terms of social infrastructure as well, the education, the healthcare, the roads, so many other things that taxation is meant to pay for. Nigerians should be able to demand for more accountability. So that is it. Over time, we should begin to see the result of the money that is coming in by virtue of our taxes. And we should we should demand to see how these things are being applied if we're not feeling them in our environment.
All right, Mr. Olojade, the Nigerian Revenue Service is now expected to play a broader role in economic administration and not just about the usual tax collection. Has the agency demonstrated the institutional capacity for this shift?
Which agency did you say?
Revenue Service. Nigeria Revenue Service.
Oh, yeah. Well, the revenue service is populated by people who are technically capable from a finance perspective and, revenue management, financial management perspective. So you have a whole lot of tax practitioners, chartered accountants, all over the whole place. So they are people of understanding when it comes to financial management. What they are able to do is also dependent on how much wings they are given to fly and how much control we also put in place, checks and balances to ensure that when people have power, they will not abuse those power that have been given unto them. So we're going to have to wait it out to see if the new tax regime will indeed be able to deliver the level of competence from financial management perspective that is expected of that institution. But as far as capacity is concerned, I have no doubt in my mind that people of requisite capacity populate significantly the agency itself.
All right. Many states have also failed to domesticate these federal tax reforms. Would you say this is about political resistance or just a deliberate reluctance to be accountable to citizens?
It could be a mix of many things, including politics, as it were. But whether we like it or not, I think implementation has commenced. The life of the tax has commenced. And for not domesticating, I guess there will be consequences, as it were. Some of these states, we have a bucket that everybody goes to in Abuja to share from every month. And I want to believe that questions will be asked along this line in the course of the implementation. And for those who are refusing to domesticate, I think the best thing is to make their cases if they have a case to make. Albeit there has been a long period for people to have made cases, as it were. I have also made an observation which has to do with this tax, and it is still in the space of the knowledge about the taxation. The average person who is speaking on taxation on the social media has not opened one page of that tax law. So most of the knowledge are bits and pieces that he has picked up in the social media in itself. And that is what he's using to make his opinions and, say whatever they have. That is for the average person. Now, when I downloaded the gazetted law, for example, I think it was about 125 pages for the particular law that I downloaded. Not everybody will sit down and read 125 pages of the law. But I needed to make a decision, and it has to do with taxation. So I had to download and read the relevant portion of that law that is important for the decision that I want to make. So for people also, I will encourage more Nigerians not to just pick bits and pieces on the pages of social media, but to endeavor to take a look into the law, especially the segments that affect them or their businesses, and engage with that document. You could also speak to tax experts. There are a lot of tax experts who can help to put shape and form to all the misconception about the law. So areas that are confusing to you, speak to your tax consultant, because you are unable, and I will perfectly understand, to sit down with a 25-page document and start to read it. But knowledge is important. More importantly, the tax people themselves must continue citizens' education to ensure that they're able to demystify the law and, shine light on all the cloudy parts that we still have regarding the new tax law. It is new. It is payment we're talking about. It is taxes. People normally refuse or reject anything that says they should come and pay more.
I like the fact that you mentioned that this new tax laws are new, but before its implementation, we saw some businesses already inflating their prices in the name of the new tax regime. We saw cases like entertainment tax and what have you. How would you say government should ensure that citizens are not being exploited out of their pockets and squeezed from both ends to ensure that they are not exploited, like I just mentioned? And who checks this to ensure that customers are being protected?
There are consumer protection framework within the country. I think there's even a consumer protection agency. Part of the duty they have, at the core of their duty is to protect the consumers. And if there are reports, which is also what our people should do, if there are incidences in which they are being fleeced, they should report it to the agency of government that should protect them. Some of these, some states even have similar, apart from the federal one, some states have their own state agency that are meant to protect consumers. So let's use them. Let's report those people that are, fleecing the people under the guise of the new tax law. And let the agency also step into that space and help to normalize it. it is also an opportunity for some smart businessmen. If some people are fleecing people and putting money unnecessarily, you can cut them by saying, no, this is the price I am charging, and win over all those customers that the other people are pushing away by using fraudulent pass-through of taxation effect.
All right, how would you say those that default in, paying their taxes will be punished? Is there like a certain punishment they get to face if they don't pay their taxes, or some kind of certain penalties that they are going to pay?
Yeah, there are penalties. There has always been penalties for not paying your taxes when it is due. There are interest. You start to pay penalties and interest on top of the amount you're supposed to pay if you don't pay it when you're supposed to pay it. And that is a global practice. I mean, I was with a friend in the UK and he told me he was meant to pay a particular taxation based on his income. Within a couple of weeks after that, he had already received another letter from the tax authorities in the UK specifying the charges that he has to pay on top of the initial figure that they sent to him. So that is the standard. When at the same time, let me also say that capacity to pay or ability to pay is also important to the tax authority. They are not asking you to die because this is the amount of taxation that is with you. You can also discuss the way you intend to pay. There are payment options for taxation. And it can be discussed and agreed with tax authority. Oh, I have 100 naira to pay, but I don't have 100 naira now. But I can pay you 10 naira over the next few months. Whatever the case is. I mean, I've seen that. I have done that in the past, and I've seen that being done severally in the past as well. Under the new tax law, that is also not out of place.
All right, and how would you say these new tax laws affect Nigeria's investment climate, especially now that we have fresh foreign investors into our economy? There's a worry that how will this affect them?
In making a decision to invest in a country, the part of what is considered is also the tax environment. So before I even decide to bring my money to that jurisdiction, I will have factored in the taxation. And when I'm assured that I have a positive cash flow after the taxation, that is when I'll bring my money. If I don't have the positive cash flow, then I'm not going to bring the money. I don't think we have that the new tax law is scary in such a way as to chase away investors. When investors see opportunities and they do their numbers and there's a positive cash flow on top of that, they will bring the money and make that investment, as it were. What you might initially have may be resistance from some people who have been, getting away with not paying taxes for certain services that or for certain money that they make, income that they make in the country. Now, those loopholes are going to be closed and people are going to have to pay taxes. So if I've been taking away my 10 naira before and the tax law is now saying, don't take that 10 naira away, I'm going to hold on to 2 naira out of the 10 naira. It is the decision for them to make if they want 0 naira or if they want 8 naira. I don't think that there will be a significant pullback for investing in the country.
Bola Olojede, thank you so much for your contributions on the program this morning. It's a delight speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
That's why we leave our conversation this morning. We're glad you could be a part of it, and I hope you pick a thing or two from that. When I hand you over to Lagos, where Ria and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right, thank you so much, Tijesu. Fantastic conversation from Abuja. Thank you.